अपार सच्चित् सुखवारिराशे यस्योर्मिमात्रं भुवनं समस्तं गुहाहितं तं भ्रमणं गभीरं चिन्ताविहीनं हृदि चिन्तयामि. If gold is taken away from the gold ornaments, will any ornament remain at all? Was the question raised in the 15th verse. This example of gold and its ornaments may be well known. Sometimes when something is well known, we are more likely to miss out on its significance. We would say, oh, this example I have come across at many places. Is there anything new? Well, don't be so eager always for something new. I believe somebody was walking on a road and there was a rock on which it was written, "There is a very precious message below me." And this man was very curious. What could that message be? Who knows? That message may transform my life. So with great effort, he pushed that rock to get that message below that rock. And lo, there was an envelope. He took that, and inside the envelope there was a piece of paper. And there was a message written, precious message. And he read it. And the message read, when you have not followed the messages you got so far in life, why do you want another message? So, sometimes these Vedanta examples are like that. Gold and gold ornaments. Without going very long on it, some vrittis are all ornaments. Aham vrittis, so many thoughts, so many self-judgments, so many self-descriptions. Some thought about who we are, what worth we are, make us happy. Some other thoughts about our self-worth make us depressed. These thoughts about ourselves, which at the core of them all certainly is Dehatma Buddhi. But I find a little elaboration very useful. I have found it useful in my own journey. It has helped me shrug out of either pride or hurt. For when memories arise and we begin to feel good at times when they are happy memories, feel low at other times when the memories are sad and bad, I see the teaching of Maharshi Ramana having a bearing on that psychological process. When you remember a scenario when you were left and right criticized, though it is an incident of some years ago, don't you feel again a little agitated? And when you remember some other occasion where everybody came up to you and said how marvelous a person you are. Don't you feel so good about it? Both are definitely connected in the core of them to Dehatma Buddhi. But it is Dehasma Buddhi, I am this personality, which has been described by people as wonderful, and we feel good. And when our personality has been or was judged as not up to the mark, we felt bad. Therefore, I go into this self-description, which is aham vritti. But I agree with some of you who have studied the core literature, traditional literature. Traditional literature, especially the Vedanta works, do not go into so many worldly scenarios, worldly situations where you see yourself as this or that. Traditional works just say, moment you take yourself to be the body, you are inviting a whole lot of sorrow. So, the significance of this gold, which is Suvarna in this 15th verse, and ornaments, which is Bhusha Vikara, verse 15, is so intimate to us in daily life. It is referring right away to the play of thoughts in which we are caught. It is the play of thoughts that takes us up and down over a roller coaster ride. And Maharshi helps us see that what thought projects, what thought creates, is only a vikara. Whether gold is in the form of a bangle or a necklace, a jeweler would see it is so many grams of gold, whether it's bangle or necklace. Is it possible for you and me to see through the game of thoughts, the play of thoughts, and recognize whether I am praised or insulted by others, or whether my own memories raise me or throw me down? Either way, I am just consciousness. Satyaha and Chit. Aham Atma Eva Sarvada Sarvatra. Or as Bhagavad Gita has an expression, Sarvatha Vartamanopi Mai Saha Vartate. Sarvatha Vartamanopi. Whether you are a king or a beggar, whether you are in Manhattan, in New York, or some Patpatganj outside some city, little village, whether you are young and energetic or old, walking with the support of a stick, in all those Sarvata Vartamano, being in any externally any situation, you are Satchit and nothing else. Satyas Chidatma. You are Satyaha and Chit. Suvarna is Suvarna. Whether it is a Kantahara or some other ornament. Likewise, the play of thoughts is taken up from another perspective in the 16th shloka. Tad Yushmad Asmad. Tad actually stands for Saha, he, Sa, she, and Tat, it, masculine, feminine, and neuter. And their plural also. He or they, she or they, many women, it, an apple or a whole basket of apples. So, you also could be one person, man or woman. You also could be singular or plural. Tad and Yushma. And Maharshi makes a very incisive statement. Thousands of notions about third person entities and second person entities in front of you, those notions rest in your notion of first person. This is a beautiful psychological truth. If I go to a party and there are many others, before reaching there, I had no idea who else would be coming. And after I go there to that get together, I notice some of my previous bosses are over there. Some of my former subordinates are over there. And some celebrities are over there. And some who are in terms of social status way down are also over there. I get mixed feelings. Why do I get mixed feelings? Why do I sometimes feel, oh, I have come to the wrong place, let me run away? Or some other time, why do I feel on top of the world? All these people, I once taught them. All these people were my subordinates. They were all reporting to me. See, can you judge anybody or can you come to an opinion about anybody without a picture of who you are? Before I say, this man worked for me for 8 years, I have to remember what I was during those 8 years. Right? During those 8 years, between 2002 and 10, I was the principal of a college in Coimbatore. And this man who has come to the party, he was a young lecturer that time. I used to assign to him not only academic work. Right, I remember this guy was given, once I asked him to do some library work. And he was a very good volunteer. See, please see, I have to remember I was the principal of a college and this guy was a lecturer. So if I look at him as junior to me, young fellow, and I know him, my feelings about that person they flow from my picture of who I am. That person is Tad in this shloka, Tad. And suppose with my cup of soft drink, I go right face to face with him and say, how are you? And he says, oh sir, I didn't know you are coming to this party. So then that same person becomes Yushmat because I am addressing him, you. He also addresses me, you and sir. First I looked at him at distance, Tad. Now he's in front of me, I'm speaking to him, Yushmat. Either way, I evaluate him as above, below, etc., necessarily following self-evaluation. Tad yushmadoho asmadi sampratishta. And suppose I am at a spiritual height, I have completely died to my previous identities, which we sannyasis are supposed to do, but not easy. We are supposed to completely die to what we were before. Whose husband, whose father, whose son, which family, what caste, what academic qualification. We are supposed to die. But memories won't let us die so easily. Just the other day, I attended a program where I too spoke in honor of some eminent lady who had died. Everybody was paying tributes. I too paid some tributes to her, what a great woman she was. And I will not mention any name. There was a distinguished Swamiji there, very, very well known. He spoke, and to be very brief, he said, nicely, he's a wonderful speaker. He spoke very pleasantly and softly. He said, I am a Swamiji, and I am not supposed to go back to Purvashrama. But on this day, all of you will be pleasantly surprised to know that this eminent lady who passed away 2 weeks ago was my aunt in the Purvashrama. Therefore, I joined this meeting today not only as a spiritual teacher whom her family has called me of love and regard, but I also join as a nephew of hers. Then, of course, then he beautifully went into what is death, what is life, what is spiritual aspect. Very wonderful talk. 20 minutes. Later I spoke. And many other relatives, friends, and so on. So you see, he is talking about a very well-known lady who died. And first, the thought arises. I was her nephew. She was my aunt. Then I became a Swamiji. So, in deciding your joy and sorrow, your loneliness or your being happy, in 100 such things, what thoughts you carry about yourself are the basis for what thoughts you carry about others. That is the significance I see here. Tad yushmadoho asmadi sampratishta. But as I acknowledged before, as you get more and more vairagya, you need not go about such lines with all these dramatic scenarios. You straight away keep an eye on, I am this person, Dehatma Buddhi. A sense of who I am without much description. To illustrate the point we are describing, we are dramatizing, we are putting it in a story form. To illustrate. But if vairagya arises, in a jiffy, you say, hey, the I thought is rising again. Rather than me staying in a state free of I am slipping into a state of who I am, good or bad. So, Maharshi makes a very, very powerful remark. Tasmin vinaste. If the pictures and images and judgments and evaluations and notions that we have about ourselves, whole bundle, vinaste, suppose were to die. It won't die by taking some allopathic or Ayurvedic potion. We wish sometimes that there was something available on Flipkart or Amazon which we could order. We drink it every day a little and our vairagya improves. Vairagya tonic. So far it's not available. It won't be available in future too. Maybe satsangs are that kind of tonic. But satsang also many a time becomes a mechanical affair. Maybe because of the inadequate competence incompetence of those who speak, sometimes the inadequate reception of those who hear, and many times some limitations on both sides. So-called satsangs, so-called pravachans, so-called spiritual activities become a mechanical affair. Somehow that hour has to be spent. But that is not in the sense of futility of satsang. We have to make that satsang alive. Teachers have to be more conscientious. Students have to also be more receptive. Shraddha on both sides is important. When there is that Shraddha, when there is that sincere self-application to the teachings such as these, Ahankara is bound to die. We who have been otherwise carrying ideas of who we are will let go of them. If you were the principal of a college in Coimbatore some years ago, but if you have done tremendous self-inquiry, suppose for some reason your son or somebody takes you to that college, you will step into that college with almost zero idea. Because at one time the principal, you will walk in, the functional memory will be in you. Not that your brain is, cleaned of memory. You know that once you had worked there. But psychological memories. Once, when I was the principal, as I came in, everybody used to, good morning, sir. Good morning, sir. That psychological memory, a certain excitement about it. Functional memory is, you are gently aware. And that used to be my office. But no joy, no sorrow, no pride, no regret. Even if certain memory arises, you don't let that memory carry you up or throw you down. Then there is no ego. Tasmin vinashte. Erasure of the ego is not erasure of memories literally. Erasure of ego is what somewhere is called awakening of that intelligence. It's the awakening of intelligence where memories, in Kannada they say, Bala muchkond kutide anta. Bala muchkonda, what they say? Bala, like a dog, or it sits in a corner with the tail also curled up, just curled up. It doesn't even raise its tail, doesn't stand up and so if one of our enemies used to trouble us before, but now after we sent a signal to him, if he becomes very quiet, they have that expression. Ittichege ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಬಾಲ ಮುಚ್ಕೊಂಡಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂತಿದ್ದಾನೆ, like that they say. The ego will do like that. Our memories, like functional memories, will just sit in a corner without troubling us. Troubling means they, emerge as psychological memories, trying to hurt us, etc. They won't do it. And Maharshi explains in a beautiful language, when there is Moola Bodha, when you have very clear understanding of who you are, that is pure consciousness, pure existence, Moola Bodha, Swarupa Bodha, then a certain understanding which is Varjita, please see the third line, Tad Yushmad and Asmad also goes, because the Asmadmati, who I am, is one illusion, and in relation to it, Yushmad and Tad illusions arise. If I get so carried away by the memory, I was the principal of this college, then the memories of this fellow was very junior. I used to call him like this, etc. That arise about this man, about that man. In the awakened state, Neither am I proud or ashamed of myself, nor do I look at anybody as low or as enviable. So, tad, yushmad, asmad, varjita, all of them are out. Eka sthiti, sahaja sthiti, atmanaha sthiti, and once more a present participle, jwalanti sthiti. I had explained the word vilasanti before. Here also please see the dirgha. It's not jwalanti short. Jwalanti sthiti. A certain way of being of which you and I are capable, but alas, we allow our inattention, our lack of awareness, we allow that to go on or make us go on a roller coaster ride, unnecessarily getting agitated, unnecessarily getting depressed, unnecessarily feeling very lonely when everything is so beautiful around, crying at the wrong time, laughing also at the wrong time. All this, why does it happen? Psychological memories, they take us on a roller coaster ride. Atmanaha sahajastitihi tad yushmadasman mati varjita is one of the most wonderful slokas with so much bearing on how we live in the ego process and what it is to live without ego. Through inquiry, through attention, through being able to notice the movement of the self, how transformation can take place is brought out so well here. And this subject of self-inquiry has such wonderful significance in so many domains. We say that about the Vedanta too. Vedanta and self-inquiry go hand in hand. Self-inquiry is a certain variation. Like organic chemistry is a certain variation of chemistry in general. Inorganic chemistry, physical chemistry, and so on. Like that, we have Vedanta, which is a vast science, and Atma Vichara is a particular specialization. You say, my grandson is studying chemistry. Then after a couple of years, he has gone to a higher university for specializing in biochemistry. Biochemistry. Then nowadays, so many interdisciplinary. One girl said to me, I'm studying chemical biology. Before that, I had heard only biochemistry. So biochemistry, chemical biology, all kinds of combinations. Likewise, if you specialize in self-inquiry, you are not away from Vedanta, but you will be highlighting a certain approach to dismantle the ego in yourself. And one of the very wonderful dimensions is the deliberation on time and space. It's not just physics of Einstein and others, which go into what is time, what is space, are they absolute, are they relative, and so on. Vedanta has pondered these questions in a different way though. But the results are pretty similar. Einstein also said time is not absolute. You and I imagine that time is unquestionably true. Absolute means unquestionably true. Time keeps flowing as the lay sayings go. Time and tide wait for none. But Einstein said time is not absolute. Because you and I don't move at high speeds, it seems time is something unquestionably true. If you were to move at high speeds, closer to that of light, that is the language of physics. Time slows down. And mind-blowing statements were made by him. And then they were proved in certain representative experiments. Let's not go to Einstein. Ramana Maharshi says in this 17 and 18, there's a pair of words which questions our notion of time as well as space, kala as well as desha. Adi Shankara in Dakshinamurti Stotra had used an expression, Maya kalpita desha kala kalana vaichitra chitri kritam. In one of the verses, he says, Dakshinamurti, that Lord Shiva is a great magician and he moves his magical wand and creates desha, space, creates kala, time. Maya kalpita. That magical wand in his hand is Maya. Maya kalpita, it's all projected. Maharshi says, Bhutam bhavishyatcha bhavat swakale tadvartamanasya vihaya tattvam Asyana kim syad data bhavi charcha Vinaika sankyam gananeva loke Vabhati dikkala katha vinasman Dikkala lile havapurvayan chet Na kvapi bhamo na kadapi bhamo Vayam tu sarvatra sada cha bhamaha. The 17th verse just touches upon time. Time, as you and I look at it, is divided into bhuta, the past, bhavishya, the future, and bhavat. Bhavat means vartaman, past, future, and present. In all languages, when you and I learn grammar, Telugu or Malayalam, Hindi or English, we learn past tense, present tense, future tense, past continuous, present continuous, future continuous, present perfect. How? So many things we do, jugglery. Last evening I taught a little Sanskrit class, sitting here only, I think. And the boys were asking. I said, Pa pibati, one drinks. Pa pasyati, one will drink. Immediately the girl asked, Swamiji, if it is the girl or boy drank yesterday, what would it be? I said, that I will take later, I'll teach you. But since you asked, Ramaha pibati, present tense. Ramaha pasyati, pana, pa is to drink, will drink. And you are asking past tense. Ramaha apibat. Apibat is past tense. Once we asked, in iPhones you have what is called Siri. Siri answers any of you. Now that Alexa, so many have come. Once we asked Siri many years ago, Siri, tell us a joke. And Siri gave a joke instantly. And that was a really nice joke. It said, okay. It said once, past, present and future went to a coffee shop and the atmosphere became tense. Past tense, future tense, because three of them go, this atmosphere should become very tense. One tense had gone, past tense alone. If present alone had gone, thoda kuch tense jarur hota. But past bhi gaya, present bhi gaya, future bhi gaya, usi coffee shop. So the atmosphere became very tense. So very cute little joke. So bhutam, past, bhavat, present, bhavishyat, future. But now comes the insightful statement. Bhutam and bhavishyat are swakale, at their own time, are always bhavat. In this sentence, bhutam and bhavishyat are the subject. Bhavat is part of the predicate. Bhutan and bhavishyat are present only. Past and future are present only at their own time. That is, you talk of future. Today is December 17. Christmas, December 25 is future now for us of this year, 2021. And as you and I move to December 25, and let's say we meet each other on December 25, Swakali. Today we may say, in the coming days, like on Christmas, we put it in future, coming days. But on Christmas, when you and I meet, we don't say, all right, so we have come to the coming days. We have rather said today. We are face to face today. Likewise, a month ago, November 17, 2021. Now we say, because now we have come to December 17, about November 17, we say, last month, in fact, exactly the 17th, last month, you and I were in Salem and we met. It was a story. But when we actually were in Salem in November 17, last month, did we talk to each other? We were in the past and so on. We said today. Have you ever shaken hands, in other words, with the so-called past? What you shake hands with is always present. Can you ever shake hands with the future? Impossible. When you actually meet, shake hands meaning meet. When you actually meet the so-called future date, it is present. This is a powerful statement with a touch of humor. Bhutam bhavishyatcha, subject of the sentence, they both are bhavat, vartamanaha eva, swakali. And therefore, anyone who knows the inner secret of Vartamana, Vartamanasya Tattvam, Yadi Kaschit Janati, and he knows everything. Because all time in its own time is Vartamana only. But generally, you and I, Vihaya, we let go of the present. We allow once more the play of thoughts to hijack us. We are worried about future. We are worried about the past. Vartamanasya tattvam vihaya tyaktva parityajya. Forgetting the beauty or whatever, it doesn't have to be beauty. If it is pain, we have to meet with pain. If it is ugliness, we have to see that ugliness. If it is pleasant, we have to come in full contact with the pleasantness. But we, like you have heard that joke, then some American, I believe, came hurriedly to India and came to some ashram and said to the guru there, I have come for just a few hours and want to learn these secrets of spirituality. The guru, the Indian guru, calmly said, it seems, Oled, just be with me. Yeah, I will tell you the secret. Come on, welcome. And the American was very impatient. The guru has to tell him the top secret of Indian spirituality. The guru, come, let us first have breakfast. Breakfast. Then they went to the cow shed, looked at the cows. Then they went to some gardens. Then some arati was going on. American is impatient. This cows and this arati and this. Tell me the secret. Guru said, come, now we have to go. There is one student here is very unwell. Let us go and by then the lunch, then afternoon, then evening, then for 5 o'clock, the American said, I need to go. I have to catch a flight back now. Then the Guru said, yes, you may go. But what about the secret you are supposed to tell me? Perhaps there are different versions of this story, but the Guru then says, see, the secret is an open secret. From the morning till this evening, if you carefully noticed me, when I was with the sick student, I was with the sick student. When I was having breakfast, I was enjoying the breakfast. When I was attending the arati, where I took you also, I was enjoying the arati at the temple. So wherever I am, I'm there in the present moment. But I noticed they were looking at the watch all the time. So much time is gone. Very little time remains, and so on. The secret that you must dwell on is how to be attentive to the present. Vartamanasya tattvam. All this is easy to say. It is not difficult to narrate a joke or narrate an illustrative story, but to stay really attentive to the present, whether it is pain or pleasure. If it is pain, sometimes in the name of spirituality, we start fantasizing. I have studied so much Vedanta and still I am suffering. So what did you expect? After all this study, I should be from morning to evening in some kind of ecstasy. Crazy? Why do you imagine like that? Like anybody else, you also would get cough and cold or some back pain. You're like anybody else, you also will have some financial loss or gain. Vedanta doesn't change what will happen to you bodily or to your mind. Vedanta is about a certain new perspective, a new way of seeing things. If earlier people were insulting you, now also there will be people who insult you. But if you have studied Vedanta, insult is a stimulus. And what you do about it is the response. You will see the gap between the stimulus and the response, and you will operate in that gap. Immature people are unable to recognize the space at all. They cannot recognize, they cannot say that there is space, because their mind is agitated, or they are agitated. They are in this ego process. People insult you, but you look at that insult and you operate in the space between stimulus and response, and without even your thinking much, beautiful responses will come from your personality. Vartamanasya tattvam vihaya, Maharshi says, Asyana kim, isn't it humorous that people talk endlessly about the past and future? Gata, past, bhavi, future, charcha, discussion. Endless. If there is a book written again in this time, what will be India in 2025? And put a few sensational things there. If you write, in another 5 years, Modi will make India double the size, and so on. There will be a lot of buyers for it. They just want to read such things. And if you say in 5 years, Modi will break this India to pieces, there will be a lot of buyers for that also. Pro-Modi, anti-Modi people are everywhere. Very excited. Even as they go rush and buy that book, maybe their child is unwell. They won't pay attention to this child. Say, somebody, give this medicine, and I want to read this. Hasyana kim? A child is sick and you need to pay attention to this child. that you leave. Vartamanasya tattvam vihaya gatabhavi charcha hasyana kim. Oh, it is like last punchline. Vinaika sankyam gananeva loke. Somebody was counting. Counting begins with 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And this fellow did not start with 1 at all. Literally taken, he starts with 2. Or, to illustrate the point a little better, you give him a pad of currency notes, count how many are there. He picks it up and says 28, 53, 33, and so on. Some erratic numbers. The right way is you start 1, 2, 3. Once I heard a joke, a pad of notes was given to somebody and was told, please check whether there are 100 notes in this. 100 it was supposed to be. And that fellow was another kind of, stupid fellow. He started properly, 1, 2, 3, 4. He went up to, loudly he was saying, the other man was hearing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 70, 71, 72, 73, 81, 82. Then he suddenly stopped. He did not cover everything. He gave it back to the friend. The friend said, I wanted you to check whether it is 100 or more or less. And this fellow said, no, I have checked. Why did you check? I was hearing you are counting. You went only up to 82. He said, yeah, I saw up to 82, it is okay. It should be okay. 82 ಸರಿ ಇದೆ, ಇನ್ನೂ ಸರಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಬಿಡಿ ಮುಂದೆ. ಕೆಲವರು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರಲ್ಲ ಶಿವ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾನೆ ಅಂತ. ಶಿವ until you go to the last note, you cannot say whether it is more or less. ಅದು ಬಿಟ್ಟು he took hasyana kim. Now comes a serious reference to space and time together. And this is the strong point of Maharshi's teachings. Any perception, please do not forget, is rooted in self-perception. Without an idea of who you are, you never actually have an idea of something else. In the psychological ego process, those who are free from the ego see things as they are. All of us who are caught in the ego process do not see things as they are. All of us see people depending on our own self-judgment. If I am nursing a wound, that of all the 5 brothers, sons of my mother, I have failed in making money. Maybe it is never too late. Now at least I must earn some money. Day and night I am thinking of when will I make money. My 2 elder brothers also made good money. 2 younger brothers also have made a lot of money. But I, as my wife rightly says, that's a blah, 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 blah. That's all mental chatter. And then I meet a classmate. He is wearing some gold watch and the smartphone he has is the most expensive one. Again, I feel, my God, this classmate of mine I am meeting after so many years and he has gone apparently so ahead. Does everybody who meets that person think like that? It's only I who is suffering from a sense of I haven't made money. My self-perception is I have been a financial failure. That makes me especially note his wealth, his watch, his something necklace and so on. So that's a simple example. Our perception of the world is not an independent perception. It's not an objective perception. It is related to the self, little self, the ego. So, vina asman, asman vina, asman is us. Without our being first caught in a certain self-perception, for which the core description is dehatma buddhi. When there is Dehatma Buddhi, then Desha and Kala. Here it is called Dik and Kala. Dik Dishau Disha is a description of space only. Because space, after all, is north and south, west and east, the other four directions, up and down. This is space. So Dik is a synonym of Akasha. It's a synonym of Desha. Dik Kala and Desha Kala. Kvabhati. Where is any perception of space or time? Unless, first of all, we have a sense of our being this body. Second line makes it very clear. Dikkala Leela, the play of space and time, thoughts of far and near, thoughts of much later and in the recent future or near future, as we call it. All that Vapuhu Vayam Chet. You are right. The Shastra talks of Dehatma Buddhi. Vapu is Deha. Vapuhu Vayam. Who are we? This body. If we say Vayam Vapuhu, if that has held us in its captivity, Vapur Bhava, Dehatma Bhava is same as Vapuratma Bhava. Yadi Vayam Vapuhu Smaha, we actually are the body. Then this play of space and time looks a solid reality. But as we weaken and remove our Dehatma Buddhi, we remain as witnessing consciousness, space and time also fold up. This is Maharshi's revelation. And when you no more look at yourself as the body, let the body be. The body doesn't have to vanish into thin air. But you don't see yourself as the body. You don't see yourself as the personality. You are not a victim of thoughts coming in quick succession, telling you are short, you are tall, you are rich, you are poor, you are a success, you are a failure. These thoughts are very noisy. Chai, they will be telling us. From the time we are morning till we hit the bed again, night, nagging. Thoughts nag us. We don't realize what thoughts are doing to us. When thoughts no more nag us, don't trouble us anymore, then there is a sea change in how we see ourselves. And that is expressed in a very nice way. On one hand, let me take the fourth line first. Vayam tu sarvatra. We are everywhere. It's only when we looked at ourselves as the body that we feel we are here. When we don't look at ourselves as the body anymore, Vayam sarvatra bhamaha. Bha means to shine. We shine, that means we are present. Sarvatra bhamaha, that is with reference to space. Sadacha bhamaha, with respect to time. Sarvatra, sada is same as sarvada. Sarvada is at all time, sarvatra is at all places. And the third line says, from another angle of view, we are nowhere and we are at no time. हम सब जगह हैं और सब सारे समय पर हैं. And another angle of view, हम कहीं भी नहीं हैं और किसी वक्त हम नहीं हैं. Two extremes. I am infinite or I am zero. Zero and infinite shake hands in the Vedanta realization of erasure of ego. The third line says, na kvapi bhama. Kva api. Na bhama. We don't shine anywhere. Na kadapi bhama. Na kvapi bhamo, na kadapi bhamo, vayam tu sarvatra sadacha bhama. The third line and fourth line apparently are poles apart, but they come together. So these are scintillating observations by Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi. He now comes straight to the crux of the problem, Dehatma Bhava. Dehatma Bhave na jadavu samanavu एकस्य देहे प्रतिदीप्त आत्मा आक्रम्य देहं च जगच्च पूर्णः परस्य मेयं तनुमात्रमात्मा अज्ञस्य विघ्नस्य च विश्वमस्ति पूर्वस्य दृश्यं जगदेव सत्यम् परस्य दृश्याश्रयभूतमेकम् सत्यं प्रपूर्णं प्रविभात्य रूपम् Some of these statements are very unusual, though they are 100% in line with Vedanta, classical Vedanta. They are 100% in line with Adi Shankara. That was an astonishing thing. Ramana had not read any Shankara Bhashya, but scholars came to him, great Shastris came to him, those who had read Prasthanatraya Bhashya, Shankara's Bhashya on Gita, Shankara's Bhashya on Upanishads, Shankaracharya's commentaries on Brahma Sutras is called Prasthanatraya Bhashya. Those who had studied a lot and deeply drunk from the wisdom of that champion of Advaita Vedanta came to Ramana Maharshi. They asked him some questions, and in his answers they found such striking resemblance to something said in Sanskrit in some Bhashya portion. Papa, how is he saying this? So here we have a very, very profound insight. Na and Jadau. That is Nascha, Jadascha. Ramascha, Krishnascha in Sanskrit becomes Ramakrishna. That's called Rondo Samasa. Naha is a knower, a wise man. Jada means a dull-witted person who doesn't know. A knower of the highest truth and someone who has no idea of the supreme truth. Nascha, Jadascha, Na Jadau are equal in regarding the body as this is me. You would think there is some spelling error or printing mistake. How can a wise man say I am this body? But Maharshi says, both the wise one and the unwise one. Chinmayananji used to joke, in this world there are two kinds of people, the wise, and rather than saying unwise, he would say the wise and the otherwise. Wise and otherwise. Call it wise and otherwise, or call it wise and unwise, Na and Jada. The wise and unwise both look at the body as their own identity. But then he clarifies. Ekasya dehe hradidipta atma akramya dehan. That is one line. No, the second and third line together is the case of the Gnani. The Gnani says, yeah, I am this body. But the difference is he doesn't say, I am this body only. I am this body only, not anything beyond. I end here at the tip of the nails. I end at the tip of my skin. He won't say that. Therefore, it is expressed beautifully. For the Gnani, second and third line or second and third quarter are Gnani's case. For the Gnani, in his body, he exists. I am in this body. Deepta Atma, the shining pure self. And that shining presence is not limited to the body. I am the body and I am everything else also, he adds. Deham cha akramya, jagat cha akramya, purnaha. So the wise man or wise lady also says, yeah, it is me. If he is drinking water, you ask, tell me, you say you are not the body. Who is drinking the water now? He says, I am drinking water. Then, what's the difference between you and anybody else? He would say, I am drinking water, but that tree also is me. That cloud also is me. Jagatcha akramya. The unwise people won't say that. Parasya means the other fellow. Here, para is not God or Paramatma. Para means the other fellow. For the other fellow, the problem is tanu matram, the body and the body only, which is mayam. Mayam means limited. Maya is measurable. Ma mimite means to measure. So maya is what can be measured. Parasya mayam tanu matram, body only. So Ratan Tata also can say, touching a car, this is my car. But he owns millions of cars. His factories produce millions of cars. So somebody who for the first time bought a car also proudly says, see, this is my car. I bought it just yesterday. But the second fellow owns just that car, not anything else. Great difference. Therefore, on one hand, there is some humor here. On the other, it dismisses a certain notion among some Vedanta students that the wise person literally doesn't see the body. Literally, he has to vanish somewhere. No. In a manner of saying, he is just like he also feels hunger and thirst. He also recognizes blue as blue, white as white. But overriding those normal perceptions, there is the wisdom. These come and go. I am that principle which is way beyond all this. Likewise, while the earlier was used the words jada and na meaning dani, the 20th verse used the word ajna and vidna. Ajna is jada, vidna is dani. Ajnasya vidnas. This dispels another confusion. A lot of Vedanta students, somehow reading something here, something there, imagine that once you are enlightened, you will not see the world at all. God runs your show. You as though up somewhere in some blissful experience. Maharshi dispels that idea. Ajnasya cha, vidnasya cha. Both have the Vishwa. They perceive the Vishwa. Ajnasya vidnasya cha Vishwamasti. Here the Ajna is described first. Purvasya, the ignorant one, takes the world as a solid reality. Purvasya drishyam, this seen, the world that is seen, jagat eva satya. But parasya, here para is the wise person. Sequence is different. Parasya drishya ashraya bhutam. What is the basis for all seeing and hearing, for all touching and tasting, for all smelling and feeling and thinking and this or that, for everything? There is a certain substrate, adhisthana. Parasya drishya ashraya bhutamekam, and that truth is satya, that can never be negated. Prapurna, it is complete, it is full. Pravibhati, it shines. And it itself is arupam, it has no form. So while playing, while moving amidst forms, the wise one is always beholding the formless. Rupeshu tishtan arupam pashyati. Namasu tishtan anama pashyati. He sees, he is aware of that which is beyond forms. While he is dealing with forms, he is aware of beyond names while he is dealing with names. This is one more comment, one more pointer. And rather than taking them for just poetic value, finally we too need to question our perception. Do we feel so? Do we think, do we look at the world and think that this is real? Do we think that whether we are here or not, the world will ever be? Generally, the answer is yes. We generally think. Many spiritual seekers say, I am already of such and such age. I don't know how many years are left. Do you think I have any chance of realization? And if you tell that seeker, don't think I am praising you, but I have seen you for many years. If you don't realize, nobody in the world can realize. They will immediately take you to the best restaurant in the town and give you a grand treat. They'll be so happy. And they don't make the mistake of saying to them, don't feel bad. I think you will not realize in next 3 lives. They may not talk to you for next few days. Or they will regret, why did I ask him? Once one lady student of mine, many years ago, I was in Sidbari. When I went for a walk one evening, she was following me. And I suddenly noticed this brahmacharani is behind me. I didn't know for some time. I suddenly saw. And I paused, I slowed down. She came quickly. Swamiji, one question. I said, what? Only one question. Okay, what is it? And she said, just tell me whether I will realize the Brahman in this life or not. I told her, I myself have not realized. How can I tell you? No, you are being very modest. You know everything. Rama. I slowed down and stopped. And when she said that, I speeded up and ran with her. I had only one goal in front of me there, to escape from her. Anyway, I exaggerated, dramatized it. But someone like Maharshi Ramana would say, that thought itself is an obstacle.
That actually said, if I'm Ajnani, I would say Ajnani.
Yes.
If I were an Ajnani, I would the same good as you are.
Ah, yes. If I were an Ajnani, I would not see an Ajnani. Second part is, if I were an Ajnani,
I am as good as you, I would know. Correct. You will realize.
Correct.
Then you would realize.
Wow, I am not seeing. It's wonderful. So, these verses are not just for their poetic value. They help us question our own position. If next time, you and I have a thought, will I get enlightened? Or will this Janma go to a waste? We must question that. Who is thinking? Who is having this thought? And what are the credentials of that entity that is asking? Is it a real entity that is asking? Like a judge finds somebody coming up as a lawyer and arguing case. Suddenly judge asks, wait a minute, is he a qualified member of the bar council? And then they check verification, he is not qualified at all. Then judge says, you are not qualified to argue the case, defense or whatever. The credentials, when somebody becomes an ambassador, goes to another country, there is a ceremony. The new ambassador from India to United Kingdom presents his or her credentials to, I guess, the Queen, maybe some other places, the President and so on. And of course, the Queen herself may not check, but her office will check all those things. And there is a proper verification. Some intruder should not suddenly come there somehow. So there is something called checking the credentials. So all these verses, I'm saying, should help us to check the credentials of whoever within us is having that doubt. Don't go into the details of the doubt. Go and question the credentials. Like the question is Nanya. So when there somebody says, will I get enlightened? There is a voice. You ask to that entity, Ninya. Niya. Who are you who is having this doubt? So Nanya, Niya, and all that. So one has to question. Doubt the doubter. There is the statement by Bhagavan. Doubt the doubter. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Hari Om Shri Guru Pyo Namah. Hari Om.